Hey y'all, it's Tuesday night. Let's lace up. We're going to go for a little walk and talk about some things here, some questions that have been posed, and thought I would just go ahead and address a few of them on here. If you have a question you want to cover, if you have something you want to talk about, something you'd like us to study, please feel free to contact me. You can message me here. You can reach me at kellylace@yahoo.com. You can reach me on the YouTube channel, Kelly Lace, Lace Up with Kelly Lace 5425. And let me hear from you, and let's talk about the things that interest y'all. Because, I mean, after all, I can always find something to talk about. Y'all know that. And I can always share good things that God's doing. But I want to know what y'all want to talk about, too. First thing I want to do is cover a couple of, what I want to do today is cover a couple of questions. So we're going to walk, and I've got some notes in my hand here that I wanted to cover. One of the questions is, how do you know if a fellowship is a cult? That's a deep question. That's a very important question. First, to cover that, the first thing we need to know and recognize is the difference in the occult and a cult. So we need to recognize that the occult, I'm going to read the definition here. The word occult refers to secret knowledge and practices of mysticism, spirituality, and magic. Among other things, there are tarot cards, fortune telling, astrology, witchcraft, Satan, and demon worship. So the occult is pretty blatant. It's pretty obvious. To paraphrase, it's any venture into the spiritual realm outside of going through Jesus. So y'all, don't mess with that stuff. Don't mess with that. Some people will get their feathers ruffled. Well, what's astrology got to? How is astrology the occult? It's fortune telling. It's fortune telling. And Ouija boards, y'all. Now, when I say magic, I'm not talking about the little tricks and things that they do in the little magic shows. When I'm talking about witchcraft magic, okay, that I'm like talking about magic, that kind of stuff. But Leviticus 19:31 says, "Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God." He's saying very clearly there, I am God. I am God. And I'm saying don't do this. So don't argue with me about it. Take it up with the Lord. He said don't mess with astrologers, astrology, and all of that stuff. You're opening the door to spiritual activity outside of Jesus. And when you start doing that, you are messing with the wrong stuff. Now, the difference in that and a cult, okay, the occult is literally dealing with demonic spiritual stuff. A cult, let me read you this definition. A cult is an organized group headed by a powerful, often very charismatic leader to whom members are extremely devoted. They tend to dominate cult members through psychological manipulation and pressure strategies. Cults often isolate members from family, friends, and the rest of society. The scary thing about cults is that very often they masquerade as churches, as actual Christian churches, and they will use Scripture. They'll use Scripture and twist it and turn it, and a lot of times they'll have a whole lot of it right on point. And then there'll just be this little point that's like, for instance, I recently heard a woman that is involved in a cult talking about how she'd been married to this man for, 20 years, I think, 18 to 20 years. But according to her, God spoke to her to step outside of her marriage and start sleeping with this other man. Y'all, that's anti-scriptural. God is not ever going to guide you to do something outside of His Word. If a church or group does not encourage you to get into the Word of God yourself, if it does not encourage you, seek this out. Seek the Lord. Search out the Scriptures. If if a group or a leader does not encourage you to do that, get away from it. Get away from it. If you're not okay, if it's not okay with them, for you to disagree, for you to just agree to disagree. If you have to be completely devoted, blind devotion, never questioning the authority there, that could be a cult. That's scary business, y'all. That's putting a person ahead of God. And cults are really good about doing that. And they do it in such a manipulative way. Often in cults, the so-called leaders, the pastors, the whatever they want to call themselves, will justify getting involved sexually with members, sometimes even children, in the cult. They pervert the word to accommodate their beliefs. For instance, that woman who said God spoke to her to begin sleeping with this other man, that's adultery. God is never going to tell you. God is never going to tell you to violate his word. That's just not going to happen. Okay? Okay, that was just a very simple explanation of those two. We can go much deeper if you need to know. If you need to go deeper than that, contact me and we'll go one-on-one on that, okay? That's just an overview, so to speak. Another question. I work with someone who has insulted and lied about me. I choose to forgive them, but how should I act around them? That's a good question, and that's a tough spot to be in. Sorry, y'all, I broke my tripod the other day, so I'm having to just carry this thing. Of course, I couldn't carry it while we were doing a walk and talk anyway. But kudos, first of all. Kudos for choosing to forgive. Sometimes that's hard. When you've been insulted and you've been abused by somebody verbally or whatever, sometimes it's really hard to forgive, and that's a choice. It is a choice. I like the wording there. Matthew 5:38 and 39 says, "You've heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also." Okay? People will tell you, how do you handle someone who's insulted you or done you wrong or lied about you? Turn the other cheek. Let's go into that a little bit. The eye for an eye was an Old Testament way of handling things. Give as good as you got, basically. And the Word tells us, Jesus tells us, there's a better way than the old law. Because you see, he didn't come to abolish the law. He came to fulfill it. He came to disperse grace and teach us a better way. Okay? So, here the slap on the face is the slap and turn the other cheek is as much figurative as it is literal. It's, have you ever heard somebody say, well, that was just a real slap in the face? And they didn't physically get assaulted at all, but somebody had said something that hurt them or insulted them. Well, it's figuratively here too, as well as physically. I'm going to tell you a little something about that in a minute, but it's tough. You have to really exercise some spiritual maturity to just bite your tongue and walk away. Or you have to choose to let God vindicate you. I'm telling you personally, from personal experience, when a woman had bad-mouthed me, had turned people that I loved dearly against me. They've come back now, but she had poisoned their minds against me at one point, and I had to just say, Lord, vindicate me. Vindicate me, and he will. Psalm 26:1 says, "Vindicate me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity." Y'all see me looking down. Sometimes I'm glancing at my notes, but a lot of times I'm looking at the ground because it is snake season in Louisiana, so I don't want to step on any of those critters. So pardon my looking away so much. But vindicate me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. If you have walked in integrity, you can trust God. You don't need to speak up for yourself. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to. Sometimes God will have you do those things. But I have found more times than not, just walk in your integrity. Just walk in your integrity. And God will vindicate you. God will, he'll fix it. He's got your back. The physical, when it is an actual physical, boy, I tell you, my stepdad went through this. A man literally slapped him in the face, and he stood there. He turned the other cheek, literally, and said, "Would you like to hit this one too?" And the man just, he didn't know what to do with himself. He just was so shocked. It was interesting. God can work in our situations if and as we give them to Him. As we do what He says do, He will vindicate. And God did vindicate my dad in that. I call him Dad, in that situation. Okay. Now the question you asked was, how do I act? Well, Romans 12:18 says, if it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. But that does not mean that you are supposed to be a doormat. That does not mean that you just go begging them to do it again. That does not mean that you just go setting yourself up. I've talked about this so many times. I've talked about this numerous times, but I'm still getting questions. So we're going over them. I have some steps for you. Set boundaries. Don't put yourself in situations that will obviously lead to you getting insulted again. If you can, just walk away. Or just put up the hand and say, not today, not today. I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it today. Let's pick this up. I'm not doing this today. And walk away. Because you don't owe it to anybody to let them just wipe their feet on you. Just set your boundaries. Pray over yourself. Guard your peace and ask God to cover you. Ask God. So that's number one, set your boundaries. Number two, pray over yourself. Pray that God protect you. Pray that God cover you and help you keep your peace. Here's a tough one. Pray for them. That's hard to do when somebody's been nasty to you. But even if all you can do is pray, Father, you see them, you know what's going on in their lives, and I'm asking you that you change them. You deal with them, you show them. You don't pray an ugly witchcraft prayer, cursing them. That's not how you do it. But you do pray for them. That'll change things. That will change things. And surround yourself with support. Surround yourself with people. Don't be a loner. Surround yourself with people who will lift you up. People who will cover you. I guarantee you, I had a friend who was being picked on. There was a group of us ladies, and one of the ladies began picking on, like schoolgirls, picking on one of the others. And this other lady just happened to be a real timid type. And I finally just clapped my hands and I said, stop it. Just stop it. And it shocked the lady that was doing the picking, but she was being nasty. Sometimes we have to just surround ourselves with people that will have our backs, Don't be a loner. Remember, in a herd of wild animals, the one that gets picked off is usually the one that's out, separated from the herd. Be careful of that. I want you to know who you are. I want you to walk as a child of the King. Know who you are and know whose you are. Walk as a princess. Princesses don't get their feelings all hurt every time somebody says something ugly about them. Princesses don't go on the defensive, and they certainly don't go on the offensive and just start chewing everybody out around them. They just walk in dignity. You know what? You have the right to be wrong about me. Your choice. But you're missing out on our fellowship. Just walk above it, y'all. Throw your shoulders back. Look up to heaven. Say, hi, Daddy. And keep on walking. Let them be ugly, because God's got you. I have been in situations where I have been so soaked in the peace and presence of God when people around me were losing their ever-loving minds. Just being stupid. I'm just walking in my peace because I know whose I am. I know who I am, and I know whose I am. Hang on a second. Having a paper issue here. Trying to do this without my tripod is kind of tough. So let's go to another question. I think we're going to another question. Okay. Yes, this was the last question. For time's sake, I'm only going to cover one more tonight, but this was interesting. How do you stay happy and at peace in the middle of troubles? That is such a good question. That is such a good question. And immediately when I read that question, I thought, constant communication with my Father. These troubles can be, scary situations. They can be these people acting like nerds at us, people that are being ugly, a flat tire on the interstate, any number of situations. Constant communication with my Father. Isaiah 26:3, Thessalonians 5:17 says, pray continually. And it reminds me of that song, y'all, when I think pray continuously. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He walks with us and he talks with us. Let's stay in constant communication with him. I keep my focus on him. Isaiah 26:3 says, you will keep him at perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. I think I use that every week, just about every week on here, because it's just keep your mind and your focus on him. This was especially, I was asked this question repeatedly during the big COVID thing in 2020. Isn't that interesting that we're talking about focus? And it was from 2020 vision. Keep your focus right. Keep your focus right. Keep your focus on him. I didn't watch the news a whole lot. I watched enough to get the information I needed, and then I turned the channel. I kept happy things on. I surrounded myself with joy and fun. I prayed Psalm 91 over my family. So I keep my focus on him. I stayed in his word. I read the word. I think about his love for me. I think about what he's done for me. I think about what he's doing for me and what he will do for me. I keep my focus on him. I think about his goodness. I just think about how good God is. That's a constant communication and keeping my focus on God. That's how I keep my peace in times of trouble. That's how I keep my peace, is keeping myself focused on him. Sometimes it helps to have music on, like I said, to read the scriptures, to pray, to have friends and people around, to watch a funny movie. Whatever it is, take action. Be proactive. Don't just let life happen to you. Worship will always do it. Worship will always get you in the right frame of mind. Y'all, these are just a few of the questions that these are the questions I want to answer tonight, but a few of the questions we have. So if you have questions you want me to answer like this, write to me, kellylace@yahoo.com. I'll be looking for it. And if you write to me and I don't answer, it's possible that it jumped over to spam, so be sure and let me know on here that you did write to me, and I'll double check it, okay? Just a little walk and talk tonight. I love you bunches. I love you bunch. I've been involved in a bunch of spring cleaning, so I'm a little hoarse tonight. But anyway, I love you bunches. And we got to lace up, keep on walking, right? See you next week. Later.